In modern Uganda, political conflict no longer exists only in parliament, courtrooms, or on the streets. It now lives online, on timelines, in hashtags, in coordinated posts, in viral rumors, and in carefully manufactured fear. The central question is no longer simply who holds power, it is who controls the narrative. Who decides what citizens see, what they fear, and ultimately what they believe? On May 6, 2026, Uganda's parliament passed the Protection of Sovereignty Bill, presented as a legislation meant to protect the country from foreign interference. On May 17th, President Yoweri Museveni assented to it. But beneath the language of sovereignty and patriotism lies something far more consequential. The law creates a framework capable of branding civil society organizations, journalists, opposition actors, activists, and dissenting citizens as foreign agents operating against the state. Long before the bill was introduced, the groundwork had already been laid in public discourse. Anyone questioning public expenditure, exposing corruption, or documenting human rights abuses was increasingly accused of being controlled by imperialists, foreign governments, or promoters of homosexuality.
I think I wrote on Twitter recently and said that when a leopard wants to eat its cub, it starts to say they smell like goats. So that's what happens, that they start with a narrative and strengthen it and have as many votes amplifying it as possible, and then eventually you have a law that is passed on the basis of a false narrative.
What initially appeared to be propaganda talking points slowly evolved into political doctrine and eventually into law. The message became clear. Criticism itself could be reframed as betrayal. But this strategy did not begin with the Protection of Sovereignty Act. Uganda's digital information war has been building for years. Before the 2021 elections, Facebook removed coordinated networks linked to government officials and bot firms accused of using fake accounts to manipulate public debate. Social media became a battlefield where political actors fought not simply for support, but for control over reality itself.
In 2020-2021, there was a certain narrative on Facebook that a particular political organization in this country was in the lead. And this was according to the retweets that you find, to the likes, to the conversation or the traction that comes to the conversation. Little did we know that this was not actually genuine debate. It wasn't genuine support. It was a group of bot accounts trying to show that this person has a particular support in the country, which was false.
The strategy was consistent. Repeat the same message across many accounts, use identical wording, push synchronized hashtags, manufacture artificial popularity, and create the illusion of public consensus.
Go and study the two hashtags in the previous campaigns. We are removing the dictator and steady progress.
This was not ordinary political debate. It was narrative engineering.
Those two hashtags exemplify what disinformation can do in shaping our democracy.
As Uganda became more polarized, disinformation spread across the political spectrum. Old images were recycled as current events, edited photos circulated as evidence, false claims spread faster than verification. Government supporters, opposition leaders, activists, institutions, and ordinary citizens all became targets in an environment where outrage travels faster than truth. A few narratives proved more politically powerful than homosexuality.
So as long as this is not confirmed by professional journalists and especially traditional media platforms, we still treat information we see online as mere rumors.
In 2023, Uganda passed the Anti-Homosexuality Act, one of the harshest anti-LGBTQ laws in the world. The legislation introduced severe penalties, including life imprisonment for same-sex relations, and the death penalty for what the law termed aggravated homosexuality. But beyond the legal punishments, the political campaign surrounding the law relied heavily on disinformation and moral panic. The dominant narrative claimed Uganda's children were being recruited. Politicians, religious figures, media personalities, and online propagandists repeatedly framed homosexuality as a foreign conspiracy targeting the nation's culture and future. Fear became a political tool.
Whoever wants to use disinformation as a tool, they target an area where they know that it's likely the public will be very much concerned, where they know that it is a sensitive aspect, it's a sensitive area either of life or of society generally.
We also have political players. We cannot forget that, because political players need mileage, they need support, and they will do anything to foster that support. So these people are lying individuals, especially around statistics, especially around the achievements they have made. They are individuals, but because they hold a certain decorum in society, they are listened to, and yet they are propelling false narratives.
Even ordinary public policy discussions became engulfed in manufactured panic. During parliamentary debates on taxation, legislators such as Aisha Kabanda and Agnes Chirabo claimed that adult diapers were primarily used by gay people and argued that exempting them from taxation would amount to promoting homosexuality. Parliament ultimately voted to impose 18% VAT on disposable diapers, rejecting exemptions for adult diapers used by the elderly and vulnerable citizens. What should have been a public health and welfare discussion was transformed into a culture war built on disinformation. Homosexuality became more than a social issue. It became a political weapon, a distraction, a fear trigger, a convenient label attached to critics, activists, and dissenting voices. And as economic frustrations deepened and corruption allegations intensified, these same tactics evolved and expanded into the anti-corruption movement itself. In 2024, the Uganda Parliament Exhibition, organized by Agora Center for Research, ignited widespread public outrage over alleged misuse of public funds. Young Ugandans flooded digital spaces demanding transparency, accountability, and answers from those in power. For a moment, the national conversation centered on corruption. Then the information war began. Social media platforms became saturated with competing narratives. Some amplified legitimate concerns about public expenditure. Others introduced distractions, rumors, propaganda, and coordinated attacks aimed at shifting public attention away from Parliament itself. The debate rapidly changed. The issue was no longer corruption. The issue became the people exposing it.
I woke up to about 20 different accounts, verified accounts with the same story. Spire has been moving out with 2 concubines. He abandoned his wife. It is my wife actually who showed the thing to me, the first tweet in the morning, because it was forwarded to her. So we've not yet woken up. We are still in bed. She goes, look, you abandoned me. You abandoned me, and you're no longer seen at home. You're busy with the concubines. Well, I immediately knew because of what had happened before, whom I had criticized, and someone had already told me about what they were planning to do.
Then came the March to Parliament protests. young Ugandans mobilized online and offline, demanding accountability from leaders and institutions. Social media became their organizing tool, their newsroom and their public square. And almost immediately, the digital counter-offensive emerged. Across countless accounts, synchronized posts appeared repeating identical claims. The protests were foreign-funded. The activists were puppets. The youth were being manipulated by imperialists. The movement was not authentic. The same wording, the same images, the same accusations, repeated again and again. This was not spontaneous public reaction. Activists were personally targeted. Some were accused of enriching themselves from protests. Others were falsely linked to homosexuality, foreign governments, or hidden political agendas. Old photos were recycled. Images were edited. Documents were stripped of context. Rumors were weaponized to provoke outrage and confusion. The objective was not necessarily to prove anything. The objective was to create doubt. Because once doubt spreads widely enough, truth itself becomes unstable.
I have been called all sorts of things. I remember when we announced the Parliament Exhibition, the first things that came out about me was, oh, see how she's dressed. They picked up a video where I was somewhere dancing. See how she dresses. She's a slut. She's a prostitute. And they said that doesn't bother me. But what they had started with was slut shaming me. So when they saw that doesn't bother me, they came up with, I do not account for money, that I did not account for the money that was raised for March Parliament protesters. And then people would refer them to my tweet, which I had put the entire accountability of. This is how much money I received, with even statements from MTN Mobile Money. This is how much money I received, this is what it did, this is the balance.
False news moves very fast. Fake news moves very fast. Disinformation moves very fast than the truth. I don't know why. Maybe people just like bad things, I don't know. Because you see, this is just what is interesting. When you do a story which is true, you will get a few 3 retweets, 4 retweets. But when there is a fake news story, people will retweet it until when someone says, actually, that is not true.
The focus shifted deliberately away from corruption inside Parliament and toward the credibility of those speaking against it.
All of us are targeted. We are all targets of disinformation because everybody has their own agenda in spreading disinformation. Let us not forget that. Disinformation is false information shared with an intention to harm.
So you just find a headline, something is forwarded to you, or Spire is being investigated in his college at Makerere University for sexual harassment. He impregnated 2 students who are now looking for support, and he has refused to help them. Of course, as a reader, you know, as a victim, there has never been anything of that kind of a report, but the public will not receive it that way.
I would not get out of my house to go to the world every day. You had first to look at the newspapers and see what they've talked about you and get prepared how you're going to explain to people that it is not right, and then you can move out.
You may think that the people who spread misinformation have big followership, maybe they have the blue tick, they have a large audience. They actually don't. Because when I studied the disinformation and fake news that was spread by a certain group of people about me and the organization I work for, it was well orchestrated. People wrote these stories, gave them to a little known online publication without even an audience. Little known.
Exposure was no longer the scandal. The whistleblower became the scandal.
You can imagine a headline like, Solomon Serwanja is a foreign agent. And so what do? They said that I was recruiting foreign agents all across the country. Part of the story was that I went to Soroti, recruited agents, went to Karamoja, recruited agents, went to Kasese, recruited agents in all these different places, and I'm coming up with a big number of journalists all across the country to turn them into foreign agents. Turns out that the places they mentioned were the trainings that we had countrywide trainings on investigative journalism in different regions. In the Eastern region, Karamoja region, Central region, and in the Southern region. So there was an element of truth that I was in those regions on those dates, because anyway, I live my life largely online. If there's a training I'm conducting, I will post. So by all means, you know I was there and I'm talking to people in a room.
And this strategy extends far beyond a single political movement. Disinformation in Uganda serves multiple purposes: to protect power, to weaken opponents, to discredit critics, to influence supporters, and to keep the public trapped in confusion. The targets constantly change.
In the 2021 elections, tribe was quite a useful tool for many people, and on both sides of the divide, both on the side of the ruling party and on opposition. Someone saying, when we get power, we are going to kill Vanyankole. They will see us. Say, okay. Of course, you're not ruling out that such a thing can happen, but you're also asking yourself, what kind of politician who is interested in winning would say such a thing? Even if they have it in mind, would they go out of their way and post it on Facebook that when we win, we are going to show you, and they're the same people that you want to vote for you?
At times, opposition movements like the National Unity Platform are portrayed as dangerous extremists to generate fear. At other times, the ruling National Resistance Movement, state institutions, or members of the First Family become the targets of viral rumors designed to provoke outrage and distrust. False reports of assassinations, deaths, arrests, disappearances, or illnesses spread rapidly because they trigger emotional responses before facts can intervene. Shock spreads fast, verification arrives later, and by then, the damage is often complete.
And what is very interesting is that a lot of this information, that is false information and disinformation, spreads further and faster. And that means that it's very difficult to even catch it.
Narrative control in Uganda is no longer held by a single institution alone. It exists within a fragmented ecosystem of political operatives, paid influencers, anonymous accounts, partisan bloggers, algorithm-driven outrage, and ordinary citizens who unknowingly amplify unverified information.
Influencers have numbers on social media. So because of the numbers, they bring them deals. Oftentimes, as long as this deal is suiting their interest, because he's receiving money, he has numbers, and he can actually speak on his own. So these particular influencers have also spread a lot of narratives, because now they're like guns for hire.
We are banking on the media to tell us whether what we see is correct or not correct. Before we banked on them to break news, but now I think the function of breaking news has been taken over by other agents.
In this environment, power belongs increasingly to those who occupy digital space first, repeat messages the loudest, and flood the public sphere with enough confusion to weaken trust itself. And when trust collapses, accountability becomes far more difficult, because citizens struggling to separate truth from manipulation become easier to divide, easier to distract, and easier to govern through fear.
So disinformation erodes trust and confidence in media, in personnel, in political figures, and it's really terrible because it deconstructs our democracy when people speak false things. Democracy then is built on false narratives, and that could erupt into an explosion that could lead into, criminal activities.
Meanwhile, the consequences move beyond the screen. Protesters are arrested, demonstrations are disrupted, journalists face intimidation, activists are isolated, citizens self-censor. Disinformation does not merely distort conversation. It shapes public perception. It justifies repression. It normalizes crackdowns. It deepens fear within society. From the 2021 elections to the Anti-Homosexuality Act, to the Parliament Exhibition, to the March to Parliament protests, the pattern remains consistent. Whenever political pressure intensifies, disinformation expands itself. The battlefield for truth in Uganda has fundamentally changed.
I think also culturally, we like to be newsbreakers. When you see something, even when you don't know anything about it, you are quick to share. I think I'm also maybe guilty of that. Sometimes I have shared a few things without necessarily verifying them. But that is something we need to train ourselves in.
Political struggle is no longer fought only in streets, rallies, or parliamentary chambers. It is now fought through algorithms, viral posts, coordinated hashtags, manufactured outrage, and strategic disinformation designed to shape public consciousness itself. The danger is no longer simply that disinformation exists. The danger is who benefits from it, who manufactures it, who amplifies it, and what happens when an entire society loses confidence in its ability to recognize the truth.
We need to pay attention to the content that we consume as an audience. Is the public aware to identify content from AI? Can we help the public educate them about information from AI?
Now, AI has redefined fact-checking 100% because now AI is bringing out images that are perfect but yet false. And now that comes back to us as fact-checkers, that now it is no longer about just using contextual clues. They are not enough. We did not even have tools that fact-check AI-generated content. For my viewer, there are some tools that we use in the fact-checking process. But now with AI, we did not even have those tools then. They are now starting to develop such tools to be able to at least identify and say, there's some there's something wrong about this image. There's some inconsistencies. This has been doctored here and there. They're not yet perfect, but that is how it is.
Because democracy cannot survive where fear replaces evidence, where propaganda replaces dialogue, and where dissent is reframed as treason. The struggle for Uganda's future is now also a struggle over information itself. And in that struggle, the fight for truth has become inseparable from the fight for freedom.